Welcome to Be Home Resources, a place you can depend on for all your home ownership needs. My name is Kathleen Goneau, your real estate concierge, and I'm excited to share with you how to maintain, update, and protect your investment. Today, I am here to talk to you about updating and maintaining your investment through insurance. With me today is Kiristine Allard from Cabot Risk Strategies. Welcome, Kristine.
Thank you for having me.
You've been in the business a long time. How long?
25 years.
Yeah, so helping people determine how to protect their homes is your business,
Yes.
would you say?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I know, being in the real estate business, we have home buyers will make a purchase and we tell them to go get an insurance binder, and they call you up and they give you a few stats and you give them an insurance binder. Is that the last time you talk to them?
I hope not.
Yeah.
But I don't want them calling me on a claim either.
Yeah.
But no, we try to, I start out with the home, and then I want to bundle the auto insurance with it and an umbrella, and
Saving the money.
I hope it's not the last time.
Yeah.
But I ask a lot of questions, and they always ask me why I ask so many questions.
Yeah, so let's talk about some of the ways that we determine a home's value and understand really what needs to be in that policy. So how, in your opinion, are most homeowners insured properly?
No, most of them are, or 64% of them technically, are underinsured.
Wow, that's a big number.
It is. With the inflation and gas prices and construction costs, hurricanes in Florida, everything factors into the rates.
Right.
Someone buys a house and then ends up insuring it, and then they just leave the policy be for...
So I get this question a lot. How do you determine what to insure your house for? I know in a new purchase, they want to insure it for the price they paid for it. And yet that's probably not 100% the best way to determine that.
It's not, because the purchase price includes land. In
Understood.
insurance, they don't include the land.
Right. So we're insuring
The house.
the structure.
The house itself and anything that's attached to it, or there's part of the policy that's other structures, that's anything that's not attached, such as a detached garage.
So how do you determine in the insurance industry the cost for that you want to rebuild that structure should something catastrophic happen?
So if something were to happen, they usually will, the cost to rebuild not only includes the material and the equipment, but also labor. And then the labor estimates, and then we have to pay for the workers who are doing that work to rebuild that house, and their insurance and their fees that are associated with that.
Yeah, and so that's interesting because the cost of all of that stuff has shot up, especially post-COVID, with the cost of supplier chain and all of that. So what is the difference between reconstruction and new construction when you're looking at determining value for someone's property?
So the reconstruction versus new construction, the homeowners has a lot more involvement, where they're picking their cabinets and their countertops and their features to the house.
Right.
And then with the builder, it's permits, and the labor is all labor intensified.
Right. Yeah. And so when you're determining the value, so I'm going to call you up and I'm going to give you some information, and I think I just recently did this, about my home. And so how do you determine the value to reconstruct that home? What is the process for an insurance company?
So we use a Marshall, Swift, and Beck method, and we take down your year built. We need the square footage, and then I get a little bit more details with how many bathrooms, if you have a garage, and we just put that all into the computer system, how old your roof is, and then they will usually spit out in current A coverage amount, and they'll give us one with debris removal and without debris removal.
Interesting. So if there was something catastrophic, whether or not they would include the cost to remove the debris. And that's interesting because many homeowners are doing especially now, they're doing additions and changes to their home. And is that something that they should be talking to you about?
100%. Some people forget So always call the insurance agent. Even when they move, they don't ever call me. They need to call me. They definitely have to call and say, this is the addition I put, I need the square footage.
Yeah.
And just a rough of like how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms, if there's a garage or if it's over a garage, and then definitely your coverage A amount. I had one last week. The addition was almost bigger than the house.
Wow.
So their premium, their coverage A from $300,000 went to $800,000.
Right, right. So their home is actually worth more money, which I would tell them the same thing, and yet they're underinsured. So that's that underinsured number. So if something were to happen for that person, a fire or something, what is their risk?
Their risk is they're only going to be insured for the part of the house that they originally insured for. If they don't notify us and tell us about that addition, we can't insure something that we don't know about.
Right, right. And it's sad but true. I've seen that happen where people have had a serious fire, and that's when they find out, oh, I didn't have enough insurance. And those are also the houses that you see take a long time to finish the reconstruction because they run out of money. They have to tap into their own resources, and they don't end up with that insurance money.
You need a good insurance agent to do that.
They do need a good insurance agent, just like you, Kristine. So help me to understand what are some of the myths or things that we forget about in our insurance policies that maybe we shouldn't?
So the first one, you must deal with the law because you're the realtor and you're saying, go get insurance.
Right.
And they're saying, what do I need insurance for? I don't want it. I don't
Well, and the
need
banks
it.
require it, so for most loans.
Right, so they're being forced, but yet they don't think, but that's their biggest investment. That
Right.
should be their number one priority, is getting the insurance.
Right, right. Yeah, I'm sorry.
They should be able to want to protect that investment.
Right, right, yeah. I know I had a strange scenario personally where I learned a lot about homeowner policies. My house was actually struck by a lightning bolt, blew the chimney apart. Not only did we lose mechanics in our house, the technologies, we lost electrical service, and in addition, those bricks actually exploded and hit my car. So we were dealing with multiple insurance companies. That was a time when I started to realize how important insurance should be in protecting that asset that we have. What are some of the things that we don't think, like that was act of God.
Act of God.
Right,
Yep.
right. So those things are covered for the most part if they touch your house.
Right, like a tree.
Tree.
Tree has to hit the house
Right.
to be covered. That is
So
the
if it
number
hits
one.
my fence or it hits a shed,
I mean, it depends on how expensive your fence is.
Okay.
And the shed probably is not worth putting the claim in after because it's all minus your deductible.
understood. And so we'll talk about that in a minute because I have a question about that. So the tree falls on the property, but it doesn't hit anything. I have to pay for that.
It's not worth it. The insurance will cover up to a certain amount of the tree removal, but for the sometimes it's just not worth after your deductible and then you losing your loss-free credit that a lot of people have on their home policy.
So loss-free credit. What does that mean and what does that do?
So an insurance company will reward you for not putting claims in. And usually it's between 3 and 6 years without having a claim. It's a nice savings. It's anywhere from $200 to $400 off of your policy if you do not put a claim in.
So you get a little ice dam, it's not worth claiming because of your deductible. It's better not to run that through the insurance company and just make the repair.
Right. The insurance companies want you to put that big claim in.
Right.
You know, like that fire.
Yeah.
You know, what you really need the insurance for, not these little
Yeah.
claims that they don't want to pay out on, but they do. But that's why a lot of insurance companies have even changed the deductible. Some don't even offer that $500 deductible anymore because they don't want those $500 claims. It's
Right.
usually $1,000 and up for the homeowner deductibles.
Interesting. Let's talk about water.
Well, flood is not covered under a standard home policy.
Yeah, it's an extra, right?
It's an extra.
Yeah.
And most of the people that have it are mandated to have it. But you don't.
Oh, yeah, because you live near water.
If you're in
or
a flood zone,
Yeah.
you're mandated to have it. But other than that, if it's not mandated, I'd say probably 90% of people don't have it.
Yeah, with weather, the changing weather patterns, it's interesting, just recently having the freeze and then the 50-degree weather and then the freeze again. I certainly understand. I know the plumbers and the basement companies are very busy. So if my basement floods, chances are I'm not covered.
Not unless you have a special endorsement, which is water backup and sewer coverage. That will cover that. The water just coming in from the basement, like I live in the bottom of a hill. And I only get water in January through like March because we get the snow in the rain, and there's no place for it to go because it won't seep into the ground.
Right,
it just
the
comes
water
in
table.
through my bulkhead.
Right.
And then it ends up in the basement.
Yeah.
And that coverage is not automatically going to be covered under just a standard basic homeowner policy.
And some of the things I've learned from interviewing other guests, such as contractors and landscapers, is sometimes directing water is all about your drainage and your landscaping and not so much about your location. And so it's sort of an ongoing battle with that. And yet it's good to protect yourself.
Well, the insurance companies now even ask, do you have that sump pump? They want to know if you're at least...
Is that a good thing?
Yes.
Oh, that's great, because most home buyers, they don't want to buy a house with a sump pump because they know that there could potentially be problems, and yet we live in New England.
Exactly.
So,
which the weather's different every day.
So you get rewarded when you have a sump pump. What are some other things that you get rewarded for on your insurance policy?
So the loss-free credit, like we talked about.
Yep.
The sump pump they want to know about. And nowadays, if you contact a local water company where they like this weekend with the frozen pipes, if there's an automatic water shutoff valve installed in your house.
And that's a simple little thing that you can do.
Yeah, you hire a contractor to come in, and once that water, they sense that water, instead of having a plumber come in and shut that off, it will automatically go off.
We do have a resource for you for that as well, so stay tuned for a later show for who can help you with that.
And there's also, if you have a whole house generator, that's also another discount. And then insurance companies want to know how old your roof is. Some are giving discounts if you have a newer roof.
How about solar panels? How do they view those? Is there any?
There's not really any discounts right now on that. And then we don't insure them. The insurance goes through
the company
itself.
Yeah. So we covered, is there anything else that we could cover in our homeowners policy that would help us to protect our belongings?
So jewelry is the one big thing. A lot of up-and-coming people that just get engaged, they get all excited and they say, I need a policy, I just asked my fiance to marry me. And we usually do like a renter's policy for them because they're just brand new, they're young, we stick it on a renter's policy. And those people tend to keep that policy going. Like once they finally buy the house, they'll take the ring and put it on the house policy. And a lot of people are oblivious to it. They don't think a ring should be put on an insurance policy. But the valuables should be the rings, the fine arts, the Oriental rugs, high-end electronics can all be scheduled on your policy. And something as for jewelry, I just would need an appraisal and a receipt, and it could range from $60 to $100 extra, and that's for a year.
Yeah.
So if you lose a diamond or the ring gets stolen or you lose the ring, it's covered.
Yeah, prospectively, you're saving yourself money by having that covered. So I know I'm guilty of this. How often should we really review the policy?
At least yearly. But a good insurance agent should be probably touching base with you within 30 to 45 days, maybe 60 days before your renewal.
Yeah.
And saying, hi, it's me, just checking in.
Yeah.
Did you put that addition on? Any changes? Did you put a pool in? Did you get a dog? Did you get a dog?
Okay, so let's talk about the pool and the dogs, because those are big questions. So pools first. What do we need to do to cover ourselves with a pool?
If it's an in-ground, it has to have a fence.
Okay.
Above ground, it has to have that self-latching gate
Right.
or ladder that ends
Ladder.
up going into that way the ladder's just not down, and any child that comes into your yard can just go up the ladder and, into the pool.
And so what are we insuring against with a pool? Accidents?
Drowning, accidental drowning, someone slips and falls near the pool or into the pool.
Right. Actually, I've
Insurance
seen that.
companies aren't. The pool's fine as long as you have the gate and it latches and it's shut, and same with the above ground, as long as that ladder can go up and latches shut.
Right.
It's a huge liability.
Yeah, trampolines.
Some companies won't even take it,
Really?
and a lot of companies that will take it wants that netting around it.
Right.
Because kids will be kids and fall and break an ankle or break a leg, break an arm, and
So now my favorite topic, the dogs.
I
What
love
is
dogs.
it? I know. So tell us about the perspective with a dog and what we're looking for.
They don't want, unfortunately, pit bulls have a bad rap. And
They're
I
so
know
cute, though.
personally, I know one. She's so lovable and
Yeah.
cuddly. But yet the insurance companies, if you have that pit bull, they will not take you.
So what does one do when they own a pet?
They have to get insurance through the standard carrier, which is the Massachusetts Fair Plan. They have to pay a higher rate and have a little bit less coverage. And
Because
can't
of
have
the-
all those bells and whistles on a regular policy.
Right,
Just
right.
because of the dog.
Right.
And then some carriers won't take a German Shepherd.
So when you're searching to help somebody find the best policy, these are some of the factors that are coming into play as
Definitely.
to how you can quote them, on their policy.
It's definitely a question that it's the same with what year was your house built? How old is your roof? What kind of heating do you have?
Right.
Do you have any pets? And
Yeah.
I get I have a couple cats. I'm like, well, that's not.
Yeah, cats
I
are
need to know
good.
about the dogs.
Right.
Just to be able to steer them in the right direction for the right carrier. I don't want to see them get canceled because of once an inspection gets ordered on the house, they'll go out and say, oh, they didn't tell us they had
Yeah,
so-and-so.
so the you think you have coverage and you find out you don't. What are some of the common things that pop up where
The dog.
the dog?
Or
Yeah.
the claim, like they'll try to tell me they didn't have any claims, and then we find out, we dig a little deeper, and they did have the claims.
Right.
So
Is there a general place that those get posted for insurance companies?
Yes, we have access to, as long as the carrier puts it into the system, losses are in somewhere where we have the access to look up the claims.
So, and does let's say a prospective homeowner wants to know about claims on a property, is there access for the consumer to
No.
go there? There isn't. Interesting. All right. I do know there is a website for floodplains and flood zones that we can help determine whether or not a home is going to require flood insurance. That is
Yes, I think FEMA
has a
offers just
site.
you put the address in and it will pop
Yeah,
up
yeah.
what flood zone it's in, and then
Yeah.
you kind of from there got to look up, well, what flood zone is. They'll give you like all the letters, and then as like the consumer would have to call me or figure out if that meant it was required or not.
Right. Yeah, we've been through that process. Well, Kristine, I so appreciate you sharing. Are there any tips that you would have for our viewers today regarding reviewing their homeowner's policy?
Just have trust in your agent. Work with your agent. Be vocal. Don't be afraid to ask those questions. I have great relationships with my customers and my clients, and they feel comfortable talking to me.
And that's really what an insurance agent should be, is someone that you are not afraid to call, and then in the worst time ever, you have them on your phone and you can call them and you have a personal relationship. And that's, we advocate for that as well when we're working with any of our resources. So we appreciate you, Kristine. And I know the standards of Cabot risk strategies are very high, and you've been with them a long time.
My agency got bought out. It was through an acquisition, so 6 years ago.
Yeah.
But my clientele from 25 years ago, that whole book of business is still with me. So I
Yeah.
have those relationships of 25 years of people calling me and asking me, and
Yeah.
always relying on me.
And that's what you want in your insurance agent. Well, thank you again for coming today.
Thank you for having me.
I truly appreciate you and joining us and sharing your knowledge. I also thank you for joining us today. You have, if you have any tip ideas for us for topics for the future, or you have questions about your home or home maintenance, please email us at the email address on your screen. And we want to earn the right to be your real estate concierge. So we also invite you to join us on Facebook, Be Home Resources. Again, I'm Kathleen Goneau, and I'm signing off for today. Be well and live well.